Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something without a shadow of doubt. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny, laying bricks each day, building the house you live in tomorrow. If you never learn to shape them, you'll remain locked inside a prison of your own design. Success does not sprout from action alone. It doesn't begin with resources or luck. It begins with thought, directed, disciplined, and dominant thought. Master this and nothing in the world will be withheld from you. Neglect it and life will drown you in mediocrity, regret, and confusion. Where you stand today is nothing but the harvest of yesterday's thinking. Do not look outward for blame. Do not defend. Do not excuse. You place yourself here, that's the raw truth. And if you want to climb higher, freer, stronger, you must rewire the very engine that moves everything, your mind. The multitudes wander dazed, hypnotized by fear, chained by distraction, lulled by weakness. They think reactively, letting the world dictate their emotions, their choices, their beliefs. But you are not the masses. You are called to ascend. And that ascent begins with a revolution inside your head. Reject low thoughts as if they were poison. Doubt is a virus. Fear a thief. Excuses the anchors that drown ships before they sail. Cut them loose. Correct thinking is not hollow positivity. That is decoration on a cracked wall. Correct thinking is steel-controlled, self-forged, unyielding. It means no thought lives in your mind unless it feeds your vision. It means waking with intention, seeing victory before the world sees you. It means focus so ruthless it carves destiny from stone. Most people cannot concentrate for minutes. The conquerors hold their vision for years. That is the divide. Your thoughts are commands whispered to your body, your spirit. I can't. Slows your stride. It's too hard, steals your momentum, but I will. I must, it is already mine. These words reprogram your reality. That is the difference between those who stumble and those who rise. Right thinking doesn't wait for evidence. It creates it. You don't need to see the road to begin walking. You don't need applause to remain committed. You don't need guarantees to bet on yourself. All you need is a burning purpose and the mental discipline to feed it, and only it. You were born carrying the most powerful weapon in existence, your mind. But since no one showed you how to wield it, you drifted, hesitated, wished. That ends now. From this moment, you seize the reins of thought. You train it, guard it, starve it of gossip, of complaint, of poison. Your mind is a fortress. Defend it as though your life depends on it. For it does. Every giant, every leader, every builder of worlds began with one thing, a thought, a vision too sacred to surrender, too bright to dim. They planted it and guarded it as treasure, while the masses squandered their thoughts on noise. That is the real difference. What I am teaching you is not merely to think, but to think with power, precision, and fire. The kind of thought that forges empires from ashes, that turns pain into strength, that never kneels before circumstance. You do not need more luck. You do not need more money. You do not need more allies. What you need is more clarity, more intensity, more relentless focus. Those who rise are not lucky. They are laser-guided. Their thoughts are swords. Their vision is flame. Their mind a machine. Weak thoughts have already cost you too much. Years of waiting, moments of peace, glimpses of greatness. The bill has been paid in wasted time. No more. Upgrade your inner software. Delete the doubts. Install courage. Install discipline. Think thoughts that ignite you. Think thoughts that commit you. Think thoughts that annihilate failure before it breathes. When thought changes, all else follows. You walk differently, speak differently, move with certainty, dare risks, claim victories. Because the truth is simple. You are one thought away from changing everything. One decision, one refusal to betray your mission. Train your mind, rule your world. Think with strength, and nothing on earth can deny you. Every achievement is born not from chance, but from sharpened thought. A mind trained like a blade. Scatter your thoughts. Scatter your life. Focus your thoughts. Bend reality. The world bows to the one who knows exactly what they think, what they want, and allows nothing less to dwell within their mental gates. Weak minds drift, strong minds dominate, and every soul that has ever risen from shadows to greatness has done so by first conquering the kingdom within. The mind is the battlefield, and thought is the weapon. You do not win with talent if your thinking is scattered, and you do not rise on potential if your mind is soft. Desire alone is not enough. You must think with a force that bends reality toward your vision. Thoughts are not harmless whispers. They are blueprints, commands, instructions. Every sentence running through your mind is constructing the shape of your future. If your inner dialogue is poisoned with fear, doubt, and confusion, your life will mirror it. If your thoughts burn with precision, power, and purpose, your results will transform before your eyes. Success does not appear by accident. It is born the moment you decide to think like a conqueror, while the world hands you every excuse to think like a victim. That is where the separation begins, where winners step away from the masses. Winners think differently. They do not let temporary failures harden into permanent defeat. They do not dwell on problems but translate them instantly into action, solutions, and results. They know the price of a single weak thought is far greater than the cost of any setback. Their mind is their shield, their sword, their map, their strategy. And if you want what you've never had, you must begin to think in ways you've never thought. Most people are prisoners of recycled thoughts, circling the same ruts of worry, stress, scarcity, and comparison. Then they wonder why nothing ever changes. But you cannot live an extraordinary life with ordinary thinking. You cannot dominate with a disorganized mind. You must become relentless. You must choose your thoughts the way a warrior selects a weapon. Carefully, deliberately, with life or death intention. Filter out every thought that makes you shrink, hesitate, or quit, for those whispers were never truly yours. They were planted by fear, failure, and society. Tear them out, burn them, and replace them with thoughts that breathe strength, vision, and victory. Thinking correctly is not shallow positivity. It is the foundation of every outcome in your life. An undisciplined mind falls to every distraction ruled by shifting emotions. But the disciplined thinker rules emotion itself. They do not panic when storms rise. They do not collapse when the ground shakes. They anchor their mind to purpose and press forward with steady steps. Correct thinking turns problems into plans, struggle into strategy, chaos into clarity. It makes you calm when others lose their nerve. It makes you decisive when others freeze. It makes you bold when others crumble. That is the power of mastering thought. The difference between mediocrity and mastery is the ability to think with precision no matter the circumstance. Every person you have ever admired, every name etched into history has walked through darkness. But in those shadows, their thinking did not collapse. They clung to the picture of their vision and repeated it until it silenced every voice of failure. That was not magic. It was discipline. They did not wait for confidence. They created it by thinking as though they already carried the prize. They did not wait for clarity. They forged it by stripping away distraction and aiming their mind at a single target. That is what correct thinking does. It arms you with an advantage the world cannot steal, a strength no crisis can shatter, a direction no noise can confuse. Train your mind as if your life depends on it, because it does. Do not let it wander through fields of fear, laziness, or self-pity. Those are poisons that rot potential and steal years. Treat your mind as sacred ground. Guard it, purify it, sharpen it. Tolerate no toxic thought. When weakness shows its face, attack it. Replace it. Reinforce the thought that builds power instead of doubt. You are the commander of your mind. Never surrender that command. For if you do not lead it, the world will, and it will fill your head with comparison, confusion, and cowardice. You are meant for more than that. Every single day you are shaping destiny by shaping thought. Choose strength. Choose certainty. Choose discipline. Choose the thoughts that fuel your mission. Each time you think I can, you step closer to your goal. Each time you envision success, you lay another stone in the bridge that carries you there. Correct thinking is not a trick, not a shallow skill, but a commitment. It is a vow you make daily to reject weakness, to embrace mastery, to focus like your future depends on it. You do not need perfect conditions to start winning. You need perfect mental alignment. You need to think with such clarity that action becomes inevitable, with such conviction that no obstacle can ever talk you out of your dream. The battle is fought in thought and victory begins in the mind. Win there and everything else will fall into place. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Discipline your mind. Fortify your thoughts. Think as the person you were destined to become, and you will step into that destiny. You are not separate from your thoughts. You become them. This is no metaphor, no suggestion. It is law. What you allow to echo in your mind each day becomes the sculptor of your identity, the shaper of your behavior, the seed of your attitude, and eventually the architect of your entire reality. Thought is the original force. Every habit, every emotion, every action begins first as a spark in the mind. The dominant thought you carry chisels your confidence, your fears, your beliefs, your very pattern of living. Yet most people never pause to question the thoughts they recycle daily. They absorb the noise of the world, wear it like their own reflection, and call it identity, never realizing they are choosing weakness every time they allow a negative thought to remain. You do not rise by accident, you rise by repetition. The right thought, repeated with discipline, forges the strongest version of you. Each time you say, I can't, your nervous system listens and obeys. Each time you replay failure, your emotions shrink and your future with them. But when you rewrite the script, when you begin to say, I can, I will, I must, you awaken dormant power within you. Your energy shifts, your focus sharpens, your posture strengthens, your decisions align with victory instead of fear. That is the quiet revolution of thought. It is not flashy, not instant, but it is unbreakable, because what you think every day becomes what you do. And what you do becomes who you are. The truth is, every failure you've ever endured began not with circumstance but with thought. Every hesitation, every retreat, every moment you played small, it was seated in the mind first. You did not fail because of what happened. You failed because of how you chose to interpret it, which means freedom has always been within your reach. You don't need the world to change before you can rise. You need only to change the conversation inside your own head. Your inner language matters more than every voice outside you. If your mind speaks weakness, your life will match it. If your mind speaks strength, clarity, and resolve, your reality will bend in that direction. The mind was built to follow the orders of your dominant thoughts. It will obey you whether those orders lift you or destroy you. So choose wisely, because thought is not passive. It is the beginning of all transformation. You must reprogram your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. And the process is not mystical. It is mechanical. Just as muscle grows through resistance, the mind grows through disciplined repetition. You must decide with precision which thoughts deserve to remain and which must be cast out. This is not optional if you intend to win. You cannot afford to entertain self-doubt, not even for a breath. You cannot afford to dwell on the past or replay your mistakes like a broken record. Those thoughts carry a cost too heavy. They drain potential, delay mission, distort identity. You are not your past, not your failure, not your fear. You are the one who thinks those thoughts, and that means you can choose again. Each morning you must feed your mind the way you feed your body. Give it strength, give it vision, give it clarity before the world pours confusion into it. Speak power into yourself until your spirit becomes louder than the noise outside. Visualize the future you desire until it becomes more real than the distractions tugging at you. Surround your mind with thoughts that multiply faith, not fear. Protect the voice that whispers, "I was made for more." If you silence that voice, your dreams die with it. But if you feed it, protect it, sharpen it, that voice will rise into something unstoppable. Because what you habitually think becomes what you unconsciously do. And what you unconsciously do becomes what you inevitably achieve. That is the chain, that is the truth. You do not have to chase success by force. You have to think in alignment with it long enough and consistently enough until your habits and your results have no choice but to follow. The only reason most never rise is because they never seize full command of their thought process. They live bound by old programming, false beliefs, and wounds that whisper lies into their mind. But you are not most people. You are here to break the pattern. And breaking the pattern begins with breaking the thought that built it. You cannot afford to be careless with your mind. The cost is too high. A weak mind surrenders before the battle even begins. It bows to fear. It invents excuses. It accepts chains that were never real in the first place. But a strong mind does the opposite. A strong mind sees through illusions. A strong mind forges new paths where none exist. A strong mind builds possibility out of nothing. And such a mind is not gifted at birth. It is constructed, hammered into shape by daily discipline, by habits of thought aligned with strength over weakness, courage over doubt, clarity over confusion, intention over reaction. Repetition of power thoughts rewires everything. Repeat who you are until you embody it. Repeat what you believe until nothing can shake it. Repeat your vision until it becomes the only future you allow. Your thinking is the foundation of your life. It is your weapon. It is your responsibility. You cannot think as a victim and rise as a leader. You cannot think like the average and expect the extraordinary. If you want to change, you must build new mental habits now and repeat them until they run without effort. That is how transformation takes root. That is how identity evolves. That is how the impossible becomes inevitable. Correct thinking is not passive. It is deliberate, sharp, and mercilessly focused. It does not drift. It does not wait. It does not entertain weakness. It commands. It cuts through fear, doubt, and noise like a blade. This kind of thinking is never accidental. It is forged through discipline, effort, and unwavering purpose. You do not stumble into clarity. You manufacture it by refusing to let your mind wander into weakness. Passive thinking is what the masses do. They consume, they react, they wait. Correct thinking is proactive. It declares what must be done. It does not seek direction, it builds it. It does not wait for reassurance, it creates it. Each thought is treated like a soldier. Either it serves the mission or it is dismissed. That is the line between those who control life and those who are controlled by it. Those who master thought master everything. The mind is a battlefield. Not because life is cruel, but because undisciplined thought is weak. Most people wander through life with their mental gates wide open, letting in fear, distraction, and the opinions of others. They aren't thinking, they are absorbing. And then they wonder why their lives are fogged with confusion, hesitation, and mediocrity. They surrendered their command. They gave away the power to shape their own reality. But you are not bound to that fate. You can reclaim it. You can take it all back by deciding to think like a leader instead of a follower. By deciding to run your inner world like a fortress. No invader enters. No fear lingers. No weakness builds a home. Because correct thinking does not tolerate poison. It replaces emotion with execution, doubt with discipline, noise with direction. This kind of mind does not sit idly waiting for motivation. It lights its own fire. It moves before it feels ready. It does not need comfort. It does not ask permission. It decides what must be done, and then it does it. That is the edge of a sharp mind. It slices through hesitation, denies the luxury of excuse, and has no time for worry, because it is too fixed on results. The mind trained to think correctly becomes a weapon of execution. It does not cling to a plan B. It does not wonder if it's possible. It assumes success and bends every action to fit that assumption. It is not gentle. It is precise. It is built for one thing: outcome. Correct thinking is the architecture of destiny. Every thought you allow is either a stone that builds or a stone that breaks. You must select them the way a general selects strategy. There is no room for randomness, no space for victimhood. Every thought that does not serve your vision is sabotage, and you must reject it. Every time you think small, you delay your future. Every time you think in fear, you weaken your momentum. Every time you think without intention, you hand power to the forces determined to keep you average. A focused mind has no tolerance for such weakness. It lives by standards. If a thought does not strengthen your drive, sharpen your action, or align with your mission, it is discarded instantly. Most never realize how dangerous weak thinking is. It begins quietly. An ounce of doubt here, a moment of fear there, a minor distraction, a small delay. Soon direction fades. Energy collapses. Willpower erodes. Why? Because they never practice discipline over thought. They let their minds wander unchecked. They fed it junk. And now they starve for clarity. But that is not how warriors think. That is not how leaders build. That is not how greatness is born. You must become the kind of person who thinks with surgical intent, who refuses to entertain distraction, who questions every idea, and keeps only what builds power. Every thought must be filtered, every belief tested, every image measured against your purpose. If it does not lead you toward the result, it has no right to remain in your mind. You were not born to drift on autopilot. You were not designed to wander through life confused, defeated, or stuck. But if your thinking is scattered, that is where you will stay. The truth is both brutal and liberating. Your mind is either working for you or working against you. There is no neutral ground. If you do not control it, it will be controlled. And what controls it will dictate the course of your entire life. So you must ask yourself, what kind of thoughts are you allowing? Are they sharpening you or softening you? Are they pulling you forward or dragging you backward? Are they helping you win or merely helping you cope? The mind must be trained to fight on your behalf, never against you. And that training begins with full ownership of thought. Correct thinking feels like weight at first, because it demands awareness. It demands discipline. It demands the death of excuses, the burial of blame, and the refusal of average. It demands that you become someone who doesn't just think, but thinks like a weapon, every thought a tool, every belief a command, every vision an instruction that must be made real. This is the path of those who rise. They are not lifted by luck. They are not carried by talent. They think sharper. They move faster because they think clearer. They create results because they give no room to thoughts that weaken them. They win before they begin because their thoughts are already aligned with the outcome. No clutter, no fog, no loose thinking. From this moment forward, your thoughts must become your responsibility. No useless thought survives. No weakness grows unchecked. You will allow only what pushes you, sharpens you, and moves you. And with that choice, everything shifts. Because once the mind is correct, life follows. Once thoughts are disciplined, actions ignite. Once noise is eliminated, all that remains is clarity, power, and progress. Success is born in the mind long before it is visible in the world. Everything you want, everything you dream of, everything you chase begins with an image so vivid that reality has no choice but to obey. That image, that belief, that unshakable internal vision, that is where true success begins. Not in applause, not in money, not in recognition. Long before the world sees you, you must see yourself. Before anyone believes in you, you must believe with such depth that doubt becomes irrelevant. Before results appear, your mind must already be conditioned to expect them. That is the secret of all who win. Their success was built in silence, rehearsed in solitude, created mentally and emotionally until reality had no choice but to mirror it. This is not fluff, it is law. The mind is the blueprint, the foundation, the invisible engine that builds everything visible. Look around. Every structure, every invention, every advancement was once nothing but thought. But when thought is held with clarity, emotion, and focus, it becomes tangible. The same law governs your life. If your inner world is scattered, weak, or divided, your outer world will mirror that chaos. But when your mind becomes certain, when your thoughts fix themselves on what must be, your actions follow, your decisions sharpen, your behavior shifts. Piece by piece, the results unfold. This is not magic. This is alignment. This is the law of identity. You cannot out-achieve your belief system. You cannot outperform the picture you carry inside. If you do not see yourself winning, you will sabotage yourself before you climb. That is why success must first exist as a mental structure before it manifests as a physical reality. Too many wait for evidence before they believe. They wait for results before they commit. But that is backwards. The greatest achievers never wait for proof. They build it inside. They hold the vision so fiercely it becomes more familiar than failure. They keep it alive until every step they take bends toward that belief. And the world always follows the one who already knows who they are and where they are going. That kind of certainty is not born from circumstance. It is born from disciplined thought. Right thinking becomes the lens through which all life is filtered. And once you filter life through the lens of certainty, you begin to act with precision, speak with authority, move with conviction, and expect the outcome before it even arrives. That is how champions are made. They do not react to the world. They command it, starting from the inside. Success does not begin when someone grants you an opportunity. It does not wait for doors to swing open. It begins the moment you decide mentally, emotionally, relentlessly that you are finished with smallness, finished with mediocrity, finished with entertaining anything less than the life you were built to create. That is the spark of momentum. That is when clarity cuts through the fog. That is when your energy shifts in ways the world cannot explain. People will say you changed. They will call you obsessed. But they will never see the years you spent building it in your mind. The repetitions, the visualizations, the silent affirmations carved into your soul. And it does not matter. The world does not need to understand. It only needs to witness the reality you have already seen 1,000 times inside yourself. That is power. That is mastery. When your vision becomes so unshakable that you do not need validation to continue. When you stop wishing and start thinking correctly, when you build mental frameworks that demand execution, discipline, and belief, then momentum becomes inevitable, and anyone can wish, anyone can hope. But the ones who dominate are those who train their minds like warriors. They remove thoughts that conflict with their mission. They cut away ideas that drag them back. They do not entertain what-ifs or maybe someday. Their thinking is intentional, clean, direct, locked onto the result. That is how flow is created. That is how an invisible idea becomes a tangible reality. Every story of greatness was once just thought, repeated, refined, reinforced until the world had no choice but to bend to it. You must think as the person you want to become long before the world reflects it. Your thoughts must carry the weight of certainty, even when no one else can see what you're building. That is the cost of transformation. That is the cost of leadership. If you cannot see it within, you will never hold it without. But once your mind accepts the vision as truth, alignment begins. The people you meet, the choices you make, the circumstances you encounter, all begin shifting to match your inner image. The inner always leads the outer. That is why correct thinking is not optional. It is the root of mastery. You will never rise higher than the vision you hold in your mind. You will never create more than you believe possible. Success is not about endless effort without direction. It is about thinking with such clarity, such intensity, such consistency that your actions become automatic and your confidence unbreakable. Once the mental picture is etched into your consciousness, your job is simple. Align your life with it. The image leads, the action follows, the result obeys. Most people try to reverse it. They wait for results before they believe. They wait for proof before they commit. But the elite know better. They believe first. They hold the vision until it becomes more real than failure, more solid than doubt. They win internally long before they win externally. And once you've won mentally, time becomes irrelevant. Whether it takes months or decades, you already know the outcome is yours. From this moment forward, think in alignment with what you desire, not with what you fear. Hold the vision so vividly that it becomes the only reality your body responds to. Refuse to let circumstances blur it. Strengthen your belief until it drowns out your environment. Focus until your mind generates momentum so fierce no setback can stop it. Build your success in silence, with focus, with repetition, with unshakable inner vision, and then go live it. Because wrong thinking builds invisible prisons.